I was always ready to die young. Honestly, it was less of a fear and more of a lifestyle choice, a constant internal packing of bags. I've spent most of my life refusing to take my shoes off too soon, just in case death decided to claim me before I could even make it through the front door. There's a specific kind of tension in your calves when you live like that, always leaning towards the exit, always poised for a departure that never seems to come. It's a strange way to live, being perpetually prepared for a final act, half loving the world with a desperate, aching intensity and half being absolutely terrified of it. I was always running out of time, even when the clock hadn't even started. When people would ask me those standard soul-sucking interview questions like, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" I'd pause and pretend to think. I'd look at the ceiling, hum a little, and act like I was weighing my career options or considering a graduate degree. But the answer was always there, burning like a neon sign in the back of my skull. I wouldn't be here by then. I was so certain of my expiration date that I didn't even bother building a foundation. Why pour concrete for a house you don't plan on living in? Why plant a tree if you'll never see the shade? But then, the sun kept coming up. The clock kept ticking past the hour I thought would be my last, and the weeks bled into months, and the months bled into years that I hadn't budgeted for. And now, I'm forced to look at the mess I left behind by never planning for the now. It's a bizarre form of vertigo, realizing you've accidentally survived your own expiration date. We talk a lot about the fear of dying, the biological instinct to cling to life, but we rarely talk about the sheer, quiet panic of realizing you have to keep living when you didn't prepare for the sequel. I spent so long romanticizing the exit that I forgot how to exist in the lobby. I've been living like a ghost in my own skin, treating my body like a rental car I intended to crash, only to find out I actually own the thing and the insurance is way past due. It's a heavy realization. It's the realization that the temporary status you gave yourself was just a way to avoid the responsibility of being a person. If I'm just a guest here, I don't have to clean the floors. If I'm just passing through, I don't have to fix the broken parts of my soul. But the lease kept getting renewed, and now I'm standing in a room full of boxes I never unpacked. And yet, despite all that commitment to the end, despite all the dark poetry I wrote about my own demise, I keep catching myself in these moments of absolute treason against my own nihilism. I'll be sitting there, fully prepared to vanish, heart heavy with the expectation of the void, and then I'll find myself laying out a fresh outfit for tomorrow morning. I'll iron a shirt, I'll match my socks, I'll catch a glimpse of a piece of clothing in a store window and think, yeah, that'll look good on me next Tuesday. It's such a small, pathetic, beautiful act of hope, but it's there. It's a quiet betrayal of the doomed identity I built for myself. I think of my friends, the people I was supposed to have already left behind, the ones I kept at arm's length so the goodbye wouldn't sting, and I find myself smiling at a joke we haven't even made yet. I find myself making plans for coffee 3 weeks from now. It's a glitch in the programming. I told myself I was a tragic figure, a fleeting shadow, someone too intense and too broken for the longevity of a normal, boring life. But who am I, really, but a terrible liar? I've been lying to myself about my own desire to stay. I've realized lately that this death drive, this obsession with dying young, was actually just a shield. It was a suit of armor made of glass. If I'm always ready to leave, then nothing can truly hurt me when it goes. If I don't plan for 5 years from now, I don't have to face the terrifying possibility of failing over those 5 years. I don't have to deal with the slow, agonizing work of building a life, or the risk of rejection, or the mundane disappointment of a Tuesday afternoon. It's easier to be a beautiful tragedy than a mediocre success. It's easier to be a shooting star than a lighthouse. We spend so much time crafting these identities based on our trauma or our expectations of an early exit because being temporary feels profound. It feels like we have a secret the rest of the world doesn't. But there is nothing profound about missing out on your own life because you were too busy staring at the exit sign. There is no wisdom in refusing to take your shoes off because you are afraid of the floor. So, where does that leave me? It leaves me in this strange, uncomfortable middle ground. I'm learning that the most rebellious punk rock thing I can do isn't to be ready for the end, but to be completely, embarrassingly unprepared for the middle. I'm learning how to be a person who actually expects to be here on their 40th birthday. I'm learning how to buy furniture that isn't easy to move. I'm learning to look at my friends and realize that I want to be there for their weddings, their kids' birthdays, and their midlife crises, to finally take my shoes off, to feel the carpet under my feet, to stay a while, and to admit to the universe that I actually want to see what happens on Wednesday. I'm an amateur at living, a total beginner at the concept of a future, and for the first time in my life, I think I'm okay with being wrong about how my story ends. I thought the end was the only part that mattered, the only part that gave the story meaning. But the meaning isn't in the period at the end of a sentence. It's in the messy, run-on paragraphs that just keep going when you thought you'd run out of ink. So, who am I? I'm the guy who finally took his shoes off. I'm the guy who realized that being a terrible liar about wanting to die was the only thing that actually kept me alive. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough to finally start living. Thank you for watching.